instructional design, there are two main roles. This means if you got hired as an instructional designer, you will either do one of these roles. And you do not need to be highly skilled in both roles. You just need to be good at one. Of course, being familiar with the other is always beneficial. One side of instructional design is the writing aspect, where you're doing more writing than developing. You're building a script, storyboarding, and maybe creating PowerPoint presentations for the trainer. This side of instructional design requires more writing and obtaining content from interviewing subject matter experts or reading documents and rewriting them to make it easier to follow. I will cover more in depth on the role of this instructional designer. This ID can also create storyboards to hand off to the eLearning developer. One thing to note is that this ID does not develop or design the actual course in the authoring tool. The second type of instructional designer focuses more on the development side. This instructional designer is usually given a script or a storyboard to begin developing the actual module in the authoring tool. This type of ID is also called an e-learning developer. In most cases, you will either gravitate towards the scripting and storyboarding aspect of ID, or you will prefer the e-learning development side of ID. You don't have to be an expert at both, and it is very likely that you prefer one or the other.